All right, are you?
Good.
Are you ready?
I am ready. This is gonna be fun. I like having conversations. So um you get me started, I'll start our talk. So
I, Here we go. We're gonna go live.
yeah, I'm excited. Are you?
Yes. It's just going live. May take a few seconds. Let's see. Hello, hello,
Of course,
hello.
my neighbors decided they were gonna.
They're gonna yes. So so we're gonna get started for today's Taiki talk. Let's see, I need to turn off the sound. So I'm super excited for today's Tuesday Taiki Talks. We're having our first guest, Samantha Dutto. So let's go back a little bit. Let me introduce myself before I introduce our guest. I'm Lauren Young Durbin, and I'm a career transition coach. I'm also recovering from COVID, so if I sound a little weird or sniffly, that's I um but I help women transition into the career of their dreams and help them figure out how to do that. So I have these Tuesday Taiki talks in order to just kind of talk about issues that apply to women in particular as they go through their life and career changes. And I'm super excited. I know it's in my voice to have our first guest, Soto. Goodness gracious, Samantha Soto, who's a financial advisor, and she works with women. And I had the pleasure of meeting Samantha a couple of weeks ago, and I was so excited to invite her to be a guest on the live stream. So take it away, Samantha. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I see we're matching colors, so it's like, it's like we're aligned today. So I'm super excited to be here. And like you said, we met a few weeks ago, and it was just like love at first sight because we're both here showing up in the world to help women and guide them so that they can live the life of their dreams. And
Yes.
that's, just on different sides, because as we all know, we need support in different areas in our lives. We're stronger in some and weaker in others. So the goal is always to find people that will support us in our journey. And for me, it's an honor and a pleasure to help women make sure that money is never an issue for them to live the life of their dreams, whether it's today or in the future.
Yeah, I
So,
remember when we talked and I said, one of the things that is so interesting to me is that how people in general, but not just women, they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about money. It's one of those three topics. What is it? Money, religion, and politics. You're not supposed to talk about in polite company. And I always say money is a tool. And just like you wouldn't be like, oh, don't talk about a hammer or a screwdriver. Just talk about money. There's nothing wrong with it. You can decide what to do with it. It isn't inherently evil. You can do a lot of good things with it.
right. And I mean, we've all heard it. That really inherently money is not good, it's not bad. It's what we do with it. And if we have a connotation that people with a lot of money are bad or do bad things, then that's something that we have to investigate internally, because there are so many people out there with lots of money that do some amazing things. So why not be part of that community? Why not be the person, the woman or the man that has the money? It can have the impact that we want to have. First of all, in our life. Second, in the life of the people around us. Especially women. Why do I love helping women? Because we have, a lot of us have children, whether they're our children or children in our direct contact. We can have an impact on them, and ultimately we can have an impact on the world. So why not have a positive relationship with it, and as step one, and then as step two, grow it so that we can do the things that we want to do with our lives.
So, what would you say is the one of, it's not the biggest, one of the biggest issues that you run into with women and money?
Probably one of the biggest, and I feel like it's in all areas of our lives, is our self-worth, right? We don't think we know how to handle our money, right? We're just, ingrained with this as young girls, and in society, like we don't know how to handle our money. So with that mindset, then we're just, a lot of times when we don't believe in ourselves and our ability to manage it, to grow it, to do the right things with it, fear sets in. And what does fear do? It really stops us from doing anything. So either we avoid it, we don't look at it. And then if there are issues, the issues get bigger and bigger and bigger. Or by ignoring it, the issues automatically get bigger. And then when we realize, that we need to address it, a lot of us feel like it might be too late. And I know one of the points that I want to make sure that our viewers get from this is it is never too late. It is never. So if you're watching this live or later, it is never too late, whether it's to get out of debt, whether it's to build wealth for yourself and your family. It's never too late. Never. So.
My goodness, there's so much good stuff in there. I'm trying to organize my mind. I'm like, oh, okay. So, okay, I'll ask you both questions, and so I'll get it out there. Who knows if I'll remember to come back to it. My first question was, well, how do you correct or improve their self-worth? And the second one was, how do people take steps? You say it's never too late, which I say the same thing with careers. So it's never too
Right.
late unless you're dead. It's never too late. So those are the two questions that bubbled up. So you can take in whatever order you want to
Yeah,
take them in.
and I feel like really the conversation is this. It's in anything that we don't understand and we fear or we feel like we're not good, so the courage is lacking. What do we say? Even you as a coach, what's the next step? You have to take action. Okay. You don't believe you're good with money, or you don't know what to do with it, right? So take action. Seek, first of all, Google, right? Go on the internet and research the heck out of it, right? The issue though is that, as we all know, I do it. Sometimes I research so much that yes, I know more about the subject, but I'm still not ready to make the next step, because now I've uncovered a whole set of other things. And I'm like, okay, well, so now I understand it better, but I still don't know how to take action. Right. But the first thing is to understand it. I feel like a lot of times we don't make decisions because we fear we're going to make a mistake. So we feel like if we don't make a decision, we can't make the wrong one, when sometimes the worst decision you can make is not making one. Okay. And then the natural, other step is seek the help you need. Right. There are, the other misconception that you have to have a lot of money to have, a financial advisor. And that is completely wrong. There's definitely a portion of the financial industry that wants to work with wealthy clients, and that's okay. But there are also plenty that don't. Plenty that, someone like me that is really into, I want to see all aspects of the wealth journey, right? The beginner. I love the beginner. I think we shared that when we met. Somebody who's getting started and then working, along the way to different phases of life. And building the assets and building the financial house. Really, it's more of that. I want everyone that's listening to really think about it as a financial house. Right? It's not one piece. Oh, I have to have money and my money has to grow. There's so many different aspects of it. You want to make sure you have money that is there as your cushion, right? As your little safety net. So we're not concerned with growth. We want to make sure that we're, properly protected. And that covers all areas. We wouldn't be driving a car without car insurance. We wouldn't be, having a house without, house insurance. Some of us can't live without cell phone insurance, right? So what are the pieces of your life, so your income that you need to protect, and what are other areas that need to protect? So it's a bigger conversation. And a lot of times really it comes down to, I'm not sure what to do. Let me seek the advice and see what I can do better. Because, and I know this kind of leads into another path, but it's like everything else. The people that don't succeed are the ones that don't have a plan. It's really hard to be able to do anything without a plan, whether it's a health journey, whether it's a career. Imagine, when you get together with your clients, you're mapping out a plan. you don't go just from I don't want to do this anymore, this job, to quitting and figuring it out. You have a plan, you have a strategy. So your money, your wealth, you're getting rid of the debt needs a plan, needs a strategy. So once you have that in place, then you can kind of relax and say, okay, well, I got that part taken care of. And if you think about it, being such a big thing, sometimes it's worth paying somebody to do it for you.
Yeah. I love your metaphor of a house because in order to have a strong house, you have to have a foundation.
Mhm.
So, so what would you say people really, I mean, I know it depends. So it
Right.
always clients ask me questions and I'm like, oh, it depends. Part of my lawyer background. So one of the things I know a lot of people, including myself, face like, okay, should I build savings first? Should I work on eliminating debt? What would be your advice with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say, I mean, it depends, but it really doesn't, because the blueprint to your financial house is pretty standard, right? So really, all the depends part is where are you along the journey.
Mm,
So if you're just starting off and you have nothing, like you're like a blank canvas, so then the goal is, first of all, start with that emergency savings. Okay. Now, if there's debt, of course, you want to do all of it at the same time. You want to eliminate the debt, and you also want to build the emergency savings. Okay. Does that slow things down a little bit? Yes, but the thing is, like going back to the metaphor of the house, we want to make sure, if you're building, a skyscraper, your foundation is going to be deep, and it's going to take a while to build, to create that foundation of the skyscraper. But once, and that is actually, I read that's probably like the longest time period in building a skyscraper is that foundation. Once the foundation is set, the rest goes up fast, right? So
mm,
if we have a really, really strong foundation, so we've done all the right things, and a lot of it depends again on the situation. Is it somebody that's single and young? Is it somebody that has a family and kids? Is it somebody that maybe is closer to retirement? Maybe the kids are gone. All these little things that come into play. But bottom line, the talk is the same. You need to get out of debt little by little. So you need to have a plan for that. And the plan is not like, oh, I'll just throw an extra $5 here and there. No, you need to have a plan, a written plan that has a structure to it. So you actually know, oh, I'll be done with this debt in 6 months. I'll be done with this one in 3 years. And you really know what, because you're going to follow it. The second is to build that emergency fund in place. And then now it's time to build up a little bit more. So protection, right? So we're not even talking about investments, if you notice, right? Because we're setting that foundation. So protection is, are you a family with kids? Or do you depend on two incomes, right? Or you depend on one income, but no matter what, both parents are needed, as far as childcare or income. So you need to protect that family in case something unexpected happens. Same thing if you're, a single mom, for example, there's some protection that needs to be taken care of, because if the children are dependent on the mom, is there a will in place to say what's going to happen to the kids, who's going to take care of the kids, and who's going to provide financially for the kids? So a good life insurance policy is a great place for that. So the nitty gritty are different, but the structure is the same. Once that is in place, boom, right? Then we can start building on the assets. And then we can start thinking about, okay, what is our goal? What are our short-term goals? I mean, what do we want to achieve in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? In that thing, you can think about college, buying a home, a new car, et cetera, et cetera. And then the long-term, the goals that are far, far away, where it's the magic retirement piece. So then you can set up strategies for that, but we got to start from the bottom.
where would people find I know the question is where would people find a financial advisor for them? But I was thinking because I know there are different kinds of financial advisors, like they're fiduciaries, they're non-fiduciaries.
Yeah.
Don't know what they're called, but
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
You know?
so you definitely want to go with the fiduciary. And really, that just means, it doesn't mean, oh, everything is covered, you're good, of course, right? But just a fiduciary just means that whatever decision that person makes are in your best interest, not in their best interest, right? So that's all that means. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the only thing you need to look at. What I like to say is this, you know, like a big portion of my business is referrals, right? So ask the people that you know, ask the people that you think, we all, you think they have it together. You don't want to ask somebody that you know has doesn't have it together, right? So ask them, and then and just take it with a grain of salt, because they might look like they have it together, and they don't, right? Because unfortunately, one of the big problems in this country is debt. There's so much debt. um, so ask them, have the money conversations. But I would say, once you have, if somebody's given you a name, or if you've seen somebody speak on LinkedIn or Facebook, if they relate to you, if you feel like, you know what, I feel comfortable talking to this person, go ahead and set up a time to interview them, right? Like, one of the biggest things I say, like, the first step in working with me, bless you.
Right.
You did really good, because you like cover it up. I didn't even hear anything. So one of the first steps is, let's get to know each other, because this is such a personal thing, such a personal subject, that we want to be transparent. We want to make sure that the person that we have, that we're going to have in our corner, is somebody that really speaks to us, hears us, feels us, all of that. So, because you could have the greatest financial advisor in the world in front of you, and you feel like they're not hearing a word I'm saying. They're just focused on the numbers, right? Then that's not the person for you. Go with your instinct, go with your gut, and especially as women, go with your instinct, because that says a lot. Like, one of the biggest things I say is, you really want to know that that person cares for your money just like you would. Because I use an analogy when we start the process and we start going a little bit deeper. I was like, it's sort of like, you're going to feel like you're at the doctor's office, like, that moment when they tell you to take everything off, right? Because we're going to uncover a lot of things, and we
Yeah.
carry with our money, we carry a lot of shame, we carry a lot of guilt that we don't need to. And that's another big thing. We don't, we all make mistakes with money, even people that are perfect, even wealthy people. Everybody makes mistakes with money. Part of the reason, you are where you are is because of past mistakes that hopefully you're not repeating going forward. So don't carry any shame, don't carry any guilt. Start where you are, right? And that goes back to, it's never too late. Wherever you are, start from there, because at the end of the day, it's not where you start that matter, is where you finish, right? So if you don't know, you don't have a clue, just get somebody to help you, because they're going to be the ones that are going to help you put a plan in place, and they're going to help you stick to it. One thing I always
Love
say,
that.
how, my biggest job is not like finding you like the super duper high return investment. My primary job is to manage your behavior, right? Because the important thing is to start to be invested and stick to it, especially when things get tough. Because what do people do? It's our human behavior. We start seeing, we start feeling the fear, the market is down, and then we have all the media. It's like, the market is crashing, the market is crashing. This is the worst it's been in 100 years, right? I mean, look at COVID. Like, I still have that Wall Street Journal article that said this is, we're not even close to the bottom, et cetera, right? So it's like, we're all, fear, fear, fear. So when people fear, they want to run away. So they're like, I don't want to lose my money. I don't want to lose my money. So what do? They pull out, right? And they pull out at the worst time when the market is down. If they had just stayed and write it out, they would have been fine, right? So COVID, the month after that article, was the highest return in the market that we had seen in 50 years, right? So my job is to say, this is something that is uncomfortable, but we've seen it before. It just has a different name. let's stick through it. So really, that's the person you want in your corner that understands your fears, can walk you through it, and keep you keep you steady and on the roller coaster ride.
I always tell people, if there are two people you don't ever want to lie to, it's your doctor and your lawyer. And I guess we should now add financial advisor.
Right.
I
Just
mean,
be
because
honest.
the thing is, yeah, I'll admit, I have a financial advisor, and it was like when I start working, I was like, oh no, it's like you said, there was a lot of shame. It's like, oh, we have some. So it was like everyone. I shouldn't say everyone. A lot of people have that. So it really was like I feel like I should be further along than I am, and but yeah, it's so true. Start with where you are because shame isn't going to get you anywhere.
Right. And there's always, everybody has that thought, I think, oh, I should be further along. That's where you are. Enjoy it. Because that's the other
Mm,
thing too, is like, it's like if you get so obsessed of where you need to be, then you're not enjoying the moment. And then what's the point? Right. So that's even
mm,
part of the conversation I like to have is like, what do you want to achieve in the future? But how do you want to live now? Right.
mm.
Because Lauren, at the end of the day, if I told you, okay, you can become, wealthy, you can reach $1 million, $2 million, whatever that is, but you got to cut everything out now. Who's going to do it? No, we're not doing it. Right. So how do we balance it? How do we balance it? And that's the conversation you want to have because we all want to enjoy the moment, right? We want to enjoy our life. We want to go out to eat. We want to go on vacation. We want to buy this. We want to enjoy our life, but not at sacrificing the future. And that's where we have to be very careful is that we're not doing that. And we're not doing vice versa. We're not sacrificing life now for something that's 10, 15, 20, 30 years out. And I'm here to tell you, my other thing is you can do it. It is possible. A lot of people don't save and invest for the future because they feel like that's not possible. But it really is because the most important factor to grow your wealth is the time. Not timing the market, meaning buying when everything is low at their lowest, because that's nearly impossible to do. But it's really the longevity, it's the time that you have in the market that matters the most.
So where should let's say someone they're not ready, talk to a financial advisor. Where can they start or should they start on their own?
Um, Look at, well, number one thing is if you have debt, work on the debt. So have a plan to get out of debt. Now, if you go online, you can see, there's this debt snowball, debt avalanche. There are all these systems, and they're very simple to understand. Start there, right? So
Mm,
that all that means is you're putting an order on how you're going to pay off your debt. So do that and stick to it.
mhm.
And while you're doing that, even if it's, I mean it, even if it's $50 a month, create an emergency fund. So an account, there's interest rates are higher now. So you could get a high yield savings account that's paying you 2-3%. Don't don't leave it at the bank at 0.1%, right? But you want it in cash. This is money that is kind of like it's out of sight, but is easily accessible when that emergency happens. Because the reason why there's so much credit card debt is because people don't have this little stash on the side. Something happens, the car breaks down, the water heater breaks, medical emergency, and what do? We go to the credit cards, and then that adds up because then we're paying them 20-25% interest. That starts digging a little hole, and then the hole gets bigger and bigger. So the goal is to get this emergency fund in place. I say about 3 months worth of income into that. That way
So
you
income, not expenses.
I mean, it's either way. Usually, I mean, expenses is a good place to start. But if you do 3 months of income, it gives you a little bit. It's going to be a little bigger because what happens if you say you lose a job, right? If you don't have income coming in, you're going to cut your expenses to a minimum. So having 3 months of income is going to give you a little bit more wiggle room. But at the end of the day, as long as you have one target, just decide what it is: 3 months worth of income or 3 months worth of expenses. The income, I feel like, gives you a little bit more fluffiness. But if you can get, and you hear it, the standard you hear is $1,000. And that's a good place to shoot for at first, because most emergencies are actually under $1,000. So if you have $1,000 in an emergency fund, you're covering yourself from most emergencies.
So one of the questions it's from two sides. One, I had kids late. So if you're single, you still have a will, um, obviously pay debt, do the emergency fund. Is there anything else people who are single without kids should be thinking about?
Um, well, yes. So one thing, life insurance, if you don't have anybody that's financially dependent on you, is not as critical. However, I still want you to, if you have, the average funeral and final expenses now are I would say about 20,000. Yeah. So
Just
yeah, if you're getting cremated, I think you can come down about 13, 15. But I said, let's plan for 20. So if you don't have 15 to $20,000 in cash or in some kind of asset, the people that have to bury you are going to have that expense. So why not have a $25,000 policy, super cheap, so that you're helping the people behind you? Now, obviously, if you do have dependents, you want to go bigger. If you do have, say you do have a little stash of cash of $10,000, $15,000, then you really don't need it, because the only thing you're leaving behind is the responsibility of the burial.
mm,
And I really think every single person needs to have that, because if you look at it, the GoFundMe's, that's what that is about,
yeah,
is trying to bury somebody and there's no money to bury them. And so even having a small little policy like that works great.
I hadn't even thought about that. Why you're on here.
Yep. Yep. So
So
those are the basics. Pay off your debt, make sure you have an emergency fund, and then some life insurance to, at a minimum to cover your funeral. And
mm,
then depending on the financial burden you leave behind, a lot of people think, oh, I don't have kids, I don't have a spouse. But what if you have parents that are financially dependent on you, right? What if you have siblings? So think about it as, is anybody going to be seriously hurting if I pass away because my income is gone? That's the only reason for life insurance, is really income replacement. So depending on that, that tells you if you should have, if you need life insurance or not. And then after that, you start building up your assets.
so on the flip side, if you do have kids, where would saving for college or vocational school, that kind of stuff, where would that fall?
So you still have to take care of the basics we talked about. You still want to work on getting rid of your debt, and then an emergency fund. If you have kids, then you need to have life insurance, right? And the life insurance, the way I figure it out, how much do you need, right? It's still a personal question. Only you know how much life insurance you really need, right? And you're comfortable with. But really, the things you want to look at is there a mortgage that needs to be paid, right? So that's one. Number two, what is the income that needs to be replaced, right? And if you have kids, do you want to provide for their college education? So depending if the kids are under 10, look at a certain amount. If they're over 10, a little, a bigger amount. The reason for that is because, if there's money and the kid, if somebody passes away and the kids are 5 and 6, you can take that money from the insurance and invest it, and you'll have the money for the college. And then your final expenses. So if you can cover all of those, then that's really pretty much the ballpark on how much life insurance you need. And then once you have those covered, I know for women, and especially for moms, this is like really hard to hear, because we want to go into, oh, I want to pay for, help pay for my kids' college, right? Even if, whether it's a little bit or all of it, right? And we put that ahead of our future. The reality is your retirement should come before the college. Okay. Because nobody's paying for you in retirement. You're not going to get a loan in retirement. You need to have, some money to live off. You need to have income, right? And that's what the investments provide. You have a nest egg from which you can take money out. When your kids go to college, there are scholarships, there are grants, and there are student loans. Now, obviously, we don't want our kids to go to college and come out with huge debt, but there are other options, right? So once you have a plan in place for your retirement, even if it doesn't mean like fully funding your retirement, but starting on it, then you can look at, okay, let's start putting some money away for the kids, right? Um, because 18 years down the road, 20 years down the road, they'll be gone, and then you can really start refocusing on your retirement. But you have to start, because remember what I said earlier, the most important thing is the time in the market. So if you wait for your kids to get out of college, say you're about 45, 50 years old, then all of a sudden your window for retirement goes from 40 years to 15, 10 years, right? And that's a lot of time to make up. So at least if you start with something, ideally in your 20s and 30s for your retirement, and then once the kids come, and even with the kids, even if you're putting away $100 a month, when they're born, you have 18, 20 years, because you're going to keep putting money in if you need it. So you have 18 years of having your money grow. So you don't have to put like huge amounts of money. If you're starting when they're 15, then it's a lot harder.
So what would be the takeaway you want people to, what's the message, or what's the thing you want people to take away?
For sure, it's never too late to start. Because if you think about this, right, you say because a lot of women that are in their 50s, even their 60s, they say it's too late for me, right? And I look at them and say, okay, let's say right now you have close to nothing for retirement, right? And let's say in the next 10 years, we can get to a point where maybe you have $200,000, $300,000, right? Yes, it's not $1 million, right? But wouldn't that $300,000 change your retirement in a big way? Yes. So let's do it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's never too late to start. And really, the biggest thing is get help, right? Like one of the things that I tell when I'm going through, the interviewing process, because when somebody interviews me, I interview them because I want to make sure they're a good fit, right?
Mm.
And I'm looking for commitment, right? If I see the commitment there, it changes everything, because somebody that's committed to it is going to, do whatever they need to do. So my biggest thing is I'm here to motivate you to take action, whether it's with me or with someone else, doesn't matter, because I know how your life will change. I know it. You know it. You work with someone. You know it would, if you have a plan and you listen to the plan and you follow it, your life will be completely different. So I would love to work with you, but if you don't work with me, find somebody that you feel comfortable, that is a match for you, because I'm not a match for everyone. So work with someone, because it will change your life. Don't wait and think, I don't have it, I don't have enough, et cetera, et cetera. Just do it. Those are my takeaways.
I'm going to drop your LinkedIn link, your profile link in the comments.
Awesome.
But could you tell people how they can get in touch and possibly work with you? How would someone get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the LinkedIn link is, profile is perfect. I'm also on Facebook. Under my name. My name that you see there, Samantha Dutto, is also my website. So if you go to samanthadutto.com, you can see more information about me. There's a link there to book a call. Just book a call, a get to know me call, and then we'll take it from there with no pressure. I love talking about stuff like this, so you're making my day by booking a call and chatting about it. And I'm here to help. Yeah. And like I said, in either way, the most important thing is that you do something. That is really number one.
Yeah, it'll be a great call. I had a great call with Samantha. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Yes.
Thank you.